Alrighty, weekly outlook for week 3 of December. Yeah, Monday has no news. Then on Tuesday, we have PMI at 9:45, but also we have like NFP folders that were supposed to be released Friday. Releasing, I guess they probably needed some extra time to collect the data after the government reopened. But yeah, we have NFP on Tuesday. Um, so, yeah, that's interesting for sure. And then Wednesday we don't have anything again. Thursday we have CPI and also some more tentative CPI folders that are probably like delayed from last month, no, from this month. And the CPI we have releasing is also 8 days ago. I don't know, man. It's weird, but these are obviously still tentative here, so I guess these might not actually release. We'll see. And then Friday again is no news. And if I pull up pound and euro, that also has a bunch of folders. So yeah, we also have a bunch of folders for pound and euro on Tuesday. We have pound CPI on Wednesday. We have some more pound folders on Thursday. Also some euro folders, and another pound folder on Friday. So to sum it up, a lot of freaking news, right? CPI and NFP as well for dollars. So big news week. And in my opinion, this is probably going to be like the last good week of price action before like the end of the year. So yeah, let's make the best of it, right? Yeah, starting on dollar. So last week we were bearish and we basically just traded up into the weekly order block and breaker here, and also like CE of this inverse, tap that and then rejected lower. And again, like I've mentioned this before, like all of these lows here are so low resistance liquidity that I want to see us butter through them. And we kind of did that last week, right? We took 1, 2 weekly lows out. So next week I'm looking for us to cut through more of these. That's my outlook, right? And then if we drop down to the daily, to really keep it super simple and clean, I want to see us retrace up into either this daily gap or this daily gap, and then fade lower into this low, and then, you know, following through with these two, with these lows potentially, as well. And then how that translates to the indices is just, well, we have a weekly gap on pound, so if we reach that, we could look for the weekly and then the external up here where we have like equal highs on pound. And if we don't reach that, then what I'll be looking for is these daily gaps on euro, which basically just lines up with what we're looking for on dollar. So yeah, bullish on majors, bearish on dollar, right? Definitely. And then indices right now, we had a bearish week last week. I'm a bit undecided, maybe, I guess. And reason being, like, ignore the weekly chart for a second. This is the daily chart, right? So we had a pretty clean sell side delivery, taking that low out right on both. And then we had a pretty clean buy side delivery up until like, yeah, essentially when December started. And then since December started, it's pretty much just been chop. And then yesterday we had a big sell off. So on Friday we had a big sell off. So yeah, man, like I'm still leaning bullish. Trade wise, could potentially see us dropping down into this daily gap on ES, which would then also automatically mean we're inside the weekly gap, which is like a tick wide, right? Like it's hard to even see if you don't mark it out, but it is there, trust. So this daily gap could be an option to potentially see a little bit of a Judas swing to start the week, right? Open, low, high, close type situation for the week. Yeah, and then on NQ we have this daily gap, and that's the same one, I believe. Yes, it's the same fair value gap that the one on ES is as well. So yeah, I guess overall, I'm still leaning bullish, just because. But you know, definitely like an air of carefulness in my analysis for NQ and ES, just because of how choppy they've been. And then moving on, we have metals, and metals are lining up pretty nicely as well, kind of like majors for next week. Silver's been expanding, and then yesterday silver dropped down into a daily gap. And if we know anything about gold and silver during expansions, Mondays tend to freaking rip. So the fact that we dropped into a gap on a Friday, like we've seen that on gold probably like 3-4 times this year already, like in the past few months, especially, that it'll displace and then Friday retraces to a gap and then Monday completes the run from the internal to the external. So I'm very much going to have my eyes on that. Now, if we look at the hourly chart, we could definitely, I could definitely see like a pretty quick thing here where we just go down here, displace above, tap the order block, go up, run the buy side, right? Like that very much could happen quite easily. And then also on silver, I do want to know, we do have a weekly gap. I wouldn't expect us to tap the weekly gap on silver. We also still have this weekly gap on gold, which I also wouldn't expect us to tap. And we do, in fact, also have a daily gap on gold. So, yeah. Yeah, going into the week, I'm going to be watching the daily gaps very closely. And potentially we'll be able to find an entry in those, right, with this being the draw for gold, and then silver, just since it's at all-time highs right now, essentially where it was yesterday, the target would just be a new all-time high. So yeah, that's the outlook. Things are looking nice for next week, and we have a lot of news looking promising. And then after next week, probably gonna have a slower week for week 4 of December, and then week 5 I believe would already be like partially December, partially January. And I mean, yeah, then we have a whole new year, and let's be real, next year, bro, next year I'm making money, bro. I'm making fucking straight bands. Like, I'm gonna get some payouts next year for sure. I'm gonna stack some payouts, right? Passed my first pundit this year. On it still. That's an intraday funded, like for the intraday trading I do, but still, like, I'm gonna pass the OSOC, the swing. Gonna fucking cook up. Jesus, gonna pass another intraday account. Gonna have 2 intraday 50Ks, and then initially just a 50K for the swing. And then once I pass the 50K and get like one winning trade and get a quick payout to pay the expenses essentially of the account, and then start trading it again after the payout, a little more long term. You know, after that, I'll use that money to buy a 100K. Then I'll pass the 100K, and I'll just rinse and repeat, bro. The goal for next year is 400K funded capital in FTMO, right? Stack it up, and obviously getting some payouts along the way. But by the end of the year, I want to have 400K in FTMO, preferably with a buffer, and I want to have 5 top step accounts. So, yeah, man, that's what we're looking for, bro. We gonna get it.